How
I've already
powerful
started
is he?
recording, so like if y'all want to like talk some stuff, fucking.
Mm.
Baseline
Well,
outer, that's the tournament cap, right?
yes, you can get a little bit above baseline, but like anything like just no infinite or like transcendence.
Okay.
Oh yeah, by the way,
Okay.
game. I don't mind if you like re-upload it on your channel. So.
You need some
Okay, can we
content
do like
anyway.
baseline? Because I've never used the one above all before, and I don't think I can upscale.
No. Here's the thing, right? If you get a little bit, hold on. If you get a little bit above base or baseline, right, or just get on the normal outer, it'll automatically like kind of like throw it back or downplay it to baseline instantly. So like,
Oh, nice. Okay.
you could technically, it's just like if you got provide a scan which is like infinite outer, then you know.
Basically,
Yeah.
as long
Okay.
as
So
it's
what
like
is
some
it for
degree
speed? Is
outer
equal. Right?
closer to baseline is what he's
The
saying.
speed is equalized.
What about hack?
Hacks are equalized.
Nice.
Hello guys, it's your boy
Okay,
Wade.
so you want me to get on with my AP scaling and then
Yeah.
so
Guys, it's your boy
my character
McDonald's cheeseburger.
shut up Isk. My character is outer versal due to the fact that he can survive and reside within the Soul Karen. The Soul Karen is a platonic ideal and was made by platonic ideals, so he's by outer versal.
Okay. Can you provide scans?
Sure, you want me to put him in scan chat?
Yeah.
There. It's a little bit blurry, but hold on, I'll try to find like a translated version or like a up close.
All right.
There. Oh, wait, no, not. Can you read that by any chance?
Let me check. Hold on.
Wait, he's using the one above all? Marvel?
Yes.
Yeah, I can read. All right. Which part specifically do I need to read
Hold
for
on,
the outer?
hold on, hold on, hold on. I'm getting it for you. There's the closer up.
Cool. All right. Give me 1 minute.
You want me to provide scans of him existing within the Soul Care?
Yeah.
This is just a random quest. It's just him and the Soul Care.
All right. All right. I'll accept that.
Okay. You want to go into your scaling?
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, since the one above all is basically the like the god of the Marvel verse, right? He scales above everyone. Um, this would include people like Eternity, who's literally like the concept of the multiverse, right? And the multiverse would obviously encompass both space and time, logically, right? So he's would transcend the concepts of space and time, and he would also be above Logos, whose like entire like shtick, like their entire character is that they're like trans dual. So that's why he'd be outerverse.
Could you provide scans for this?
Yep. Alright, give me 1 second. Alright, that's the one for him being the god of the Marvelverse. I'm gonna go get the rest. Give me a minute.
One question. Where's this original scan from?
This scan was from I think it was from it was either from that one Immortal Hulk comic or something else.
I mean, I already know who the one above all is, so like you don't have to tell me. I was just wondering where this one particular.
Okay. Alright, cool. Let me get the other scans real. Dang, I know I have this scan. Give me a minute. I'm gonna find.
No. I've lost tons of scans before. This nigga Coolgeek running around his entire server like the Flash looking for that one in particular.
You're not wrong.
So, where's that pencil, Coolgeek?
I'm gonna
I
get to
don't
that
know.
later.
Where's that amp falling?
Whenever everyone else is, on, and like after the debate. Actually, I'll drag Coolgeek in with us too while I'm at it. So.
Coolgeek, if you don't provide that scan in 1 minute, I will literally do my signatures rhyming on you. Don't mess.
Here, I found some of the scans. There's one more I need, and then I'm gonna get that. Alright, those might take a while to load, but there should be 2 scans explaining like who Logos is.
Okay.
Now I just need one more scan. Dang, I always have the scan. Hold on.
So the first one describes that he's trans-dual.
And the other one just basically like that's like pretty much his name like is like where he's like, yeah, I'm Logos or whatever. That's like him being like all confident, because I'm pretty sure like Logos, like the definition is literally, you know, like beyond beyond logic or something like that. I can't remember exactly.
To be fair, that is a name fallacy.
Sure, I'm just saying I'm not using that as like the main argument. I'm just saying that backs him being trans-dual.
But one question, do you like believe that transcending and like a duality is universal?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure. Don't type like that and ping us, Ghost. No offense, but, you know, kind of giving away arguments.
Ghost, are you being a gremlin?
I think Ghost might be.
You fucking gremlin. I'm gonna
He's a
feed
scan
I'm gonna feed you
gremlin
past
nonetheless,
midnight
the
and lock
worst
you in a
type
jail
of gremlin.
cell.
A scan gremlin, the worst type.
You feed him
All
after
your
fucking... Kenny,
rare scan.
Kenny,
Yeah.
here's how you deal with gremlins. You feed him after fucking midnight, and then lock him in a jail cell. Boom! Anyway.
You know those scan gremlins will like take scans, rare scans that they don't versus they don't even scale, and just take them.
So most of society...
That's funny.
Help, I collect scans all the fucking time for verses I do and don't scale. So...
And no, I'd argue that a scan gremlin is worse than an argument gremlin, because at least an argument gremlin can learn. A scan gremlin always just takes your scan. You know those rare and exclusive scans of like...
To be fair though, like with me, like I take scans, right, and then I remember the arguments, because if I face anyone who like does that wink shit against me, it's like, okay, I already know how to combat it because I've heard it before. So, boom. But anyway, I should probably like mute, because like we don't usually...
No. We're waiting for Mr. Coolgeek over here to look for his scan.
Geek
Yeah.
101 dollar store brand.
My apprentice has 6 times the amount of subscribers I had, and in 1 month gained half the amount I've had in over 2 years.
Well, anyway.
No offense, Coolgeek.
None
Thanos,
taken.
to answer your question, I have not finished the audio. I will be finishing today.
Yeah,
Noted.
yeah, Cyber and I will have to get into like a private VC and finish that shit. So
Imagine saying yourself you're the man who killed Canada. That's an L.
The concept of Canada, that is.
I transcend the concept of the United States.
I mean, if you want me to kill the planet, sure.
Do it.
You know I'm
Cyber,
Canadian,
use a DC
right,
character.
Cyber?
I got one even better. Justify 1A water and say Umineko.
Justify why the mud crab is universal.
Wait. Is Geek? What character is Geek using?
I'm using the one above.
Oh my god.
Okay, I'm gonna mute that.
He's a pretty broken character.
Cyber, Coolgeek, you made Cyber mute, dude. Like, come on
Chill.
now, man.
Alright,
We're off to a good start.
This character's either god tier or just terrible.
I hate sand.
I like
Alright,
sand.
next one.
Makes glass. I like cutting myself with it. Wait, what?
In my point of view, the Jedi are evil.
Anyway,
What's this?
Continuing on.
In my point of view, Coolgeek needs to be terminated for choosing this character.
Shut up, Cyber.
Damn. That's like the 7th time this week.
Okay, for real though, everyone needs to be quiet because the debate's about to start.
It hasn't started
Yeah, alright,
yet.
so there's one last scan, it's loading right. Alright, so the one right above the last one is basically explaining that the all the abstracts are concepts, and this is basically eternity being the concept of the multiverse, right? He's the multiverse, right? So he'd be the concept of the multiverse, and yeah.
And the multiverse of course contains time and space.
Right, exactly, and he's like not just the multiverse like normally, he's the concept of it, as shown in this scan above. Yeah.
Okay, I'll accept that.
Cool beans.
Okay, do you want to go into hacks?
Yeah.
You want to start first? Do you want me?
I'll start first. Does your character have resistance to plot hack?
Plot has hacks, yes. Basically,
Okay.
the Elder Scroll, right? Which stated Alduin shall return and basically eat the world, right, and consume it. The Dova King negged this and ended up killing Alduin.
Can you provide scans for that?
Sure.
Cool.
You consider Fate Manip a form of plot hacks, right?
Not necessarily.
Why not?
Why is manipulating like the future the same as manipulating the?
Because the plot, you could say, is indeed fate, right? Fate would indeed like be how a character ends. For example, right? If it's written, right, that a character like his entire story is written out and that is destined to be fate, right? Wouldn't that necessarily also sorry, I can't speak. Wouldn't that also show like a form of plot or like plot hacks because you're kind of writing down this person's plot and place or like what he's gonna do?
Well, I think if you can control the plot, you can control fate, but not necessarily if you can control fate, you can control the plot, right?
But like I'm saying, if you're resistant to fate manip, right? Very strong fate manip, and it's destined that something's gonna happen, right? And no matter what you can do, right? That would still be a form of plot hack or plot resistance, I'd say, because you could still like resist, like that's supposed to be the necessarily narrative.
Okay, well, the thing about like fate versus plot though, fate wouldn't be as I want to say like fundamental as plot hacks, right? If you have resistance to like something like becoming like fate, that's not necessarily like something being like written as like the plot, right? Because if you say have like simple like temporal manipulation, right, you can have some like degree of like resistance over like fate manip, right? But not necessarily the plot, right? Like for instance, like Thor, when he destroyed the world tree, he was unbound by fate, but not necessarily unbound by the plot, right? So there's still limitations that way. So I definitely think that fate is definitely like weaker than plot. Like it wouldn't be the same.
Okay, but you would agree that, right? That if something is written down per se, like in the Elder Scrolls, right, where it's written down as in this will happen and this is how it will happen, right? That would also be a form of plot hats because it's writing down what's going to happen and how it's going to happen.
Hold on, give me a second. I have to do something. Give me 1 second. Okay, I'm back.
Okay, so if something's written down per se, like in the
Oh
Elder
wait, sorry, I'm
Scrolls,
having some audio issues. Give me a second. Okay, say something.
okay, you there?
Yeah, perfect. Okay.
So, so the Elder
Okay, can you
Scrolls,
show me scans of what you're talking about so I can make like a better like decision of like what I think?
you want me to give you scans of what is the Elder Scroll?
Yeah.
Hold on, let me provide you. Hold on, let me get everything I have. Give me a minute. I'm looking at what I have. Okay, here's one thing. I'm gonna post it in the scan chat. Okay, so that's just like one scan. I'm gonna try to find you the others. Of basically, right? It's described in the Elder Scroll, right? And even in the second scan, if something's like written down as a prophecy, right, or like as a normal thing, it is usually destined that it will happen. So like you could like let's say you could write down that you're gonna gain a magical bow, such as like Ariel's bow, for example, which is what the snow elf tried to do, right? That would be normally like manipulating the fact that you're gonna get that bow and you're gonna basically sorry, my mic's cutting out. You're gonna basically actually get it, and you could say that's a form of plot hacks due to the fact that it's actually like, you know, resisting the fact that like something that is written down and is destined to happen, right? Wouldn't you say that's a form of plot hacks in and of itself?
Not necessarily, unless it's directly stated that like writing in this book affects the plot. Like yours, it literally says like affecting destiny. By that same logic, I can say like, because destiny is literally fate, right? So by that same logic, I can say like Itachi with his like Izanagi, not Izanagi, Izanami can like manipulate the plot. That'd be a bit of a fallacious claim.
Well, here's the thing, right? What do you consider plot manipulation?
Someone like if they do something right, like and manipulate the plot, like say like they move a speech bubble, or like if they do something like directly that impact, like that they directly change the story or somehow interact with the story itself, not just like fate, if that makes sense.
So like if they directly interact with the story.
Kind of like how Gwenpool, like she can grab speech bubbles and crap, or like bring you outside of like outside of the comic book panel or something.
Okay, what you're describing, right? Just basically says like they can like usually like narratively affect the plot, but that just sounds to me, right? Like it would kind of necessarily be like a form of fate manip, just like you could but in that kind of sense, right?
Wait, why is
If you're
bringing
saying
you outside of the comic book panel? Why is that fate manipulation?
the comic book parent, one question, what's that going to do to the Dragonborn? I'm just curious.
You'd get like BFR'd from the narrative.
Okay, so you want me to prove that he can resist BFR?
From like a narrative level, like BFRing you from the entire narrative of the series.
Let me look for something.
Alright.
something? Okay, I'm trying to look at the scan I have. Just looking.
This VC's fucking dead. Anyway, continue. Now sports.
Okay, right. Hold on. So in the story, right, there's a strict sort of plot, right, that the Elder Scrolls universe follows, like in Skyrim, that you can like you know how you go like fight Alduin and you basically save the world and whatnot, right?
Well, I don't know. I don't know anything about the
Well,
scrolls.
that's like the main plot of the story, right? But if you become a vampire, like the hold on, let me propose. So right, when you become a vampire, certain things that like are written down, right, or like the plot of the main story itself will change, right? Therefore, like its own things, right? The plot itself changes basically on the Dragonborn's like decision, right? And the plot does not like follow like a linear line as you think, right? So he's not like bound by one kind of plot or one kind of circumstance.
Can you provide the context for that scan? That scan is very vague.
Basically, what it's saying is that the plot will hold on, let me give you this context, the full.
So what's going on right now?
I'm waiting for him to get a scan.
Okay. Can you like pick it up or make the debate go a little faster?
Sure. So here's the full context. There's a bunch of things, but basically, like the final one was them discussing, like, or the one I was talking about was them discussing, like, the plot, or like plots of stuff, right? Where if you're a vampire, like you change your own course, right? Plots will change basically due to like your own choices.
Okay, let me read this.
Shut up, Jeff.
I don't even want to like mute my mic and then make some background noise because this VC is so fucking quiet. I swear.
Have you read the scan yet? Type Coolgeek.
Oh yeah, I'm almost done. Hold. The phone.
Yes. Yeah, fuck it. I'll mute my mic now.
Okay, I'm back. Okay, so from what I can tell, all the scan is saying is that the plot can go down two different routes depending on like whether or not you're a vampire. So literally, it's not like Dragonborn like manipulating the plot or anything. It's literally the it looks like the who is that, like the developer or somebody saying like how the plot can go down two different routes.
Oh, okay, right. What basically the scan is implying, right, or showing, right? It's not just two different routes. It's also like a lot of multitude of routes, right? Where if you like play the Skyrim at the end as a dragon, or like as a vampire, you'll get a little bit of a different ending than normal, right? So like things will follow a little bit more of a different plot in like each line. For example, like if you let's say you defeat Mirak before doing Hermaeus Mora's quest to get the Ogfidium, right? That will have a little bit of a different more ending or a different ending than let's say that you actually do the Ogmium quest first and then like do Hermaeus Mora's like storyline, right? So what the whole thing is implying, right, is that the Dragonborn's choices and the Dragonborn's thing, right? He's not bound by a certain plot or he's not bound by a certain narrative. He's not like forced or like meant to go down a certain linear narrative.
I mean, it literally, like, the author literally says that, he can do some cool things with the plot, right? What about that implies that, like, Dragonborn can do them too? I would think if the author can do things with the plot, doesn't that directly contradict Dragonborn having his own, like, you know, like, choosing his own, like, path or whatever? Like, yeah, if he does certain things, but that's all manipulated by the developer.
Okay, right. The main problem with that is that the only reason why your character like has quote unquote plot manipulation or plot resistance to manipulation is because the plot allows him to. So like that you're making like an appeal to like because the developer said like how he's designing the game. You're saying that means he doesn't have any resistance to like plot manip like IRL, right? You do realize like the only reason why your character has any sort of like resistance to plot or plot manipulation is because like the comic book writer gives it to them. Like these are not like we're not comparing them into IRL. What I'm basically saying is that this like would show that the Dragonborn's not bound by a certain plot or like a certain narrative that necessarily is like out of reach. It's not like this will happen.
Okay, let me be more clear about what I'm saying, right? My argument is that like my character directly impacts the plot, right? It's stated and shown, right? Well, a character that my character like he gave her his powers, right? So, and your character, right? The developer just says, "Yeah, I can do some cool things with the plot." And then like if you like it and then like if like you're a vampire or something, you go down this route, and if you're not, you go down this route. Like that's literally in contrast to like say like, yeah, I'm just gonna be a vampire. If anything, that's showing that there is a limit to like what he can do with the plot, right? Because if say like you're a vampire, you have to go down this path, right? And if you're not a vampire, you have to go down this other path or something, right? You would still be bound by the plot to that degree.
He was just giving that as an example. There are like many different like alternatives and like different routes you can go through in like any quest line, very different like routes that will like impact the story in very different ways.
I mean, sure, but wouldn't that just be game mechanics?
Game mechanics and this is like defecting like the story in it of itself, like the quote unquote plot, right? This is affecting like the whole, like, I guess you could say Elder Scrolls universe as a whole, right?
Yeah, if I'm playing, hold on, if I'm playing like Mario or something, right, and I play, and someone like, they survive, right, they save Peach, right, that affects the Mario verse because, you know, he saves Peach or whatever and things are good, right? But if Mario like dies, that affects the plot because Bowser gets to do whatever he wants to with Peach. No matter what you do in a game, no matter like what you do, there's gonna be a different outcome if you do something different. That's why it's obviously game mechanic.
Well, here's the problem, right? These are like actual legitimate storylines, right? That can like get like due to the Dragonborn actions can actually change. For example, like in the Dark Brotherhood, there's like I can't remember how many routes, but like there's one where like you could kill the Emperor, and there's one where you could like join the Thieves Guild instead and like do other stuff. There's one where you could like, instead of joining the Dark Brotherhood, kill the Dark Brotherhood, leave the Dark Brotherhood, you know, all that, right? All I'm trying to say is that the Dragonborn in the Elder Scrolls as a whole, right? It's not like you jump off a cliff and you die and then you have resistance to plot hacks and that's yeah. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that the Dragonborn, right, is shown in the Elder Scrolls, right? There is no like official quote unquote canon, right? Bethesda has never really given like your player character, yes, he does this, right? Yes, he does this. It's always like based on, I don't want to say like the us, but it is kind of, right, on those choices. So you could say like the Dragonborn just doesn't have any like effect by plot in general, because the plot literally like revolves around like it just doesn't affect them. I'm trying to word it in the best way I possibly can, but there's no like official canon to that.
Well, there being no official canon doesn't negate him being bound by the plot, right? Here, let me see if I could think of a good example.
Well, here's the problem, right? What kind of plot would he be bound by? Because it's not shown that like he would be bound by any plot, because the plot doesn't go on in like a linear line or like a narrative like, or just like this 1-2 path option, right? There's many different outcomes and many different circumstances that can all be like changed via just your normal like habits or whatever, right? And each of these, like you could say, are like narratively like in tune, right? It's not meant to actually like, when I say it's not canon, I'm just saying that it's shown like it's not meant to be like, this is not destined to be, or this is not like what the plot demands.
Okay, so you're saying because like in his series there's no like set like scenario of what's gonna play out that he would be resistant to plot hacks?
What I'm saying is, right, since he's not bound by any linear plot or any plot in general, you could say, right, he would like not really be affected by your character's.
But hold on, okay, so you're trying to assert that like you're sneaking a premise here. You're trying to say that like he's not bound by the plot, which I haven't agreed to yet, right? Because like there's no like one set. It's not linear, right? Well, I can argue that's pretty much like the same within like other verses, like for like say Marvel for instance, right? They run like one of their multiverse models, right, is a quantum module. Now they do have like at least like 2 different models, but one of them is a quantum model, so any decision like any character makes can have different outcomes, right? That's why there's an infinite number of timelines coming from like each moment essentially, right? Each moment creates like another, like each decision creates another universe, right? And so under that, right, you can like each character has like an infinite number of possibilities, right? But yet they're still bound by plot, right? So I'd argue it'd be the same thing in this case.
Bound by plot, right? the main problem that I see with that, right, is that it's still like, in this case, I know we're kind of going in and out in here, but I'm just gonna like repeat it. He is not like shown or like seen to have any like kind of plot or shown to have any plot, like or like affected by any sort of plot. The instance that you provided, right, shows like, okay, there can be multiple options, but he'll still be like affected by the plot in the end, right? The thing is that the main problem that I see is that if you're still affected by the plot in that sense, then it's still going to like be then your decisions, you could disagree with me on this, but your decisions wouldn't even matter, wouldn't it? Because that's still what the plot's going to outcome. So you're giving them the illusion that they basically have like free will or free choice. So I'm just saying, right? Since it's not determined that what actually happens and there is actually like no official plot to anything, right? He would not be affected by the plot in that sense.
Wait, hold on. I'm pretty sure you misunderstand my point, right? The point I'm making is that since that there are multiple like outcomes, right? Multiple timelines, right? That doesn't necessitate someone being unbound by the plot, right? I'm arguing that since like there is other instances, right? I'm using the argument instance to the contrary, right? So if you're arguing something like since there are multiple timelines, right, that like that would necessitate that like he's unbound by like the plot, right?
There
I'm
aren't
giving you a
multiple
direct
timelines.
instance. Hold on, I know. I'm agreeing with you, right? And I'm giving you an instance to the contrary, saying that even if there are multiple timelines, because I'm agreeing with you, so there are multiple timelines, right? That doesn't necessitate you're being unbound by the plot. I don't know why that would necessitate that at all, actually.
Because you're not following a strict plot. You're not going like by a normal plot. You're not like being affected by it.
Well, I already said that I think
What
like
is the
there
plot,
can be different
Coolgeek?
types of like I do think like fate manip and plot manip aren't exactly the same thing. This could literally just be another instance of like basic like fate manipulation without necessarily being plot manipulation.
But the developer said in it.
I think.
Hold on. I know what you're saying. Like I know like fate manip and plot manip to an extent. Like we can both agree have very similar.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I think it's
okay,
similar,
right. So
but not
I was just
exactly
gonna
the
ask
same.
you that.
I think
Like,
if you. Oh, wait a second.
Okay, right. Okay, right. The problem is that the developers are saying, yeah, the plot, right? The plot, it's not one linear plot. In fact, the plot is actually like determined by you, right? You technically to an extent, right, are the plot, right? You're not bound by a linear plot. If you're bound by a plot, then this is going to be the outcome no matter what, right? If you're bound by a certain, yes, because here's the thing. Technically, like, let's say a fourth dimensional being, right, writes a plot for a, let's say, third dimensional being, right? So now that third dimensional being, in the story, it said that he has all these choices, but in general, right, the comic book does like officially say or like determine what will actually be the outcome. Elder Scrolls is not the same
Wait, can you
way.
repeat that one more time? I didn't follow.
Okay. While the story itself might not say, or like the story itself might say that the outcome they're going to be like, hold on, sorry. If the Dragonborn in per se like has, let's say no linear plot or like no plot in general, right? Because it's all determined by you. It wouldn't matter whether or not you're affected by the plot, or like I'm screwing up and choking on my words. I'm not repeating this properly. My bad.
Okay, so I think I know where you're going because you're saying like since there's no like official plot in the series that that would inherently like make him like unbound by plot or something.
Sorry. What was that?
Saying I think what you're saying is that correct me if I'm wrong, but I think what you're trying to say is like there's no like official plot to like the series, he'd be like unbound by.
If there is no plot, there wouldn't like be yes.
Okay, well in this like scenario, right? This isn't like some weird like verse where there's like no set way for it to like end up, right? This is like a neutral setting, so there would like inherently be a plot for this fight. So like my character's hacks would still work. And then my other arguments still stand.
You do realize that while the player character may not be like bound by the plot in it. Okay, I'm gonna try to word this the best I can, right? In the world of the Elder Scrolls, right? Certain characters, like certain normal characters, do have a plot and are affected by the plot, right? So you could say like there are forms of like plot manipulation.
You mean
right?
like the NPCs?
Yeah, like or the people or like the lore, like the lore characters you can read in the books, or like they're all have like a normal plot, right? In general. So the Dragonborn does not have an actual plot in a world where there's actually characters who do and are affected by the plot. If the Dragonborn's not affected by the plot in a world where there is like a plot in general for other characters, then wouldn't that mean he just necessarily resists your character's plot?
Not necessarily. I think the Mario example I brought up earlier still stands, right? The little mushrooms, like every time they like move, they always go in the same direction, right? You can play level 1 of like Super Mario Bros. Wii, and like the first Goomba, or heck, even the original Super Mario Bros. That first that first mushroom is always going to come at you from the same direction at the same speed. So you can argue the same thing there, but it would still be incorrect.
But it is shown that like Mario does eventually like get Princess Peach, like no matter what.
Not necessarily. It's sort of like Elder Scrolls, right? You can like literally your actions as the player determine what happens. If you want to like die on level 2 and never play the game again, that's fine. If you want to play as Luigi, actually, I think this is a really good example. You can play as Luigi and get Princess Peach, or heck, even Toad. You can be a Toad and get Princess Peach. So you don't necessarily have to play as Mario. So I can argue via that that's another example to the contrary of what you're saying.
Okay, I don't really have anything for plot hacks, to be honest.
Okay, so you can see.
You want to go on other plots or like hacks or no?
Not really. I think I got.
Oh my god.
Oh, fuck you.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry if
Not
that
a
came out
proper
a little
refute,
bit
but whatever.
Kenny, do you have anything else?
No, I had all these hacks. I was not expecting plot manip.
Alright, so Coolgeek just wow.
You're going against the one above all.
What kind of thrashing was that?
What the heck? You gave up on the first topic!
He's dead.
By the way, that was the first time I've ever used the one above all in a debate before. How did I?
Okay.
Geek,
I used the character that
geek.
So.
Yo, what's up?
How hard do you have to one above all?
For the debate, I used him at baseline outer. I don't know how strong he should really be. I have
good. No, good. That's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, like baseline outers.
You used him having plot hacks. You know, you could have just said, well, the one above all can still create narratives for characters that are like not restricted to the narrative of Marvel, so you can still create plot.
Having
Oh, that's cool. I didn't have that yet.
though. It just means that there's no canon plotline, but they still have plotlines that they're bound by.
Yo, Kenny, were you arguing that plot is fake?
Kenny his fingers were
Isk, did you get a new mic?
He's trying to argue that the plot is fake.
My headphones right
now. That is bullshit.
Okay. Dude. Wait, how long was that? Like, what, 20 minutes?
The entire debate ended about a minute ago, so about 54 minutes.
Wow, that's
that was
a record
short.
for Coolgeek.
Under
an hour. I've actually never seen Coolgeek beat anyone in under an hour.
Coolgeek, you do realize you could have just stillmanned the multiple plotlines plan.